Good morning. So I was asked to share a story, and I immediately said yes. And the struggle I've had since I said yes, I've had to reflect back onto some of the situations that were not comfortable in my life at all. And so my heart's doing a little. This guy. So, as a young, joyful child, I was very athletic. I was better than anybody around me. I was better than the girls. I was better than the boys. And so that was, a very successful feeling for me as a child. And as I went in through school, middle school, into high school, I still excelled. I still was better at whatever I attempted in sports versus the girls or the boys. Well, when I was in high school, my sophomore year, there was a group of football players who decided that I was going to be their target. And so I heard, they had this phrase for me called "not a man," which was a reversal of, right? And then from there, it was faggot, it was dyke. It was lesbian. Dyke was the hard one. I had a hard time, right? So initially, the not a man thing, I was like, they're just jealous because I'm better at sports than they are. I'm better than the boys, right? So, and this was the class above me. These were the juniors. And so for 2 years, I went just wherever I walked, I'd hear it, right? Back and forth. Went to the guidance department, and I was told that this is 1974. Was told, oh, it's just words. Just ignore it. So the school did nothing to support me. I was raised a Roman Catholic, and I knew the subject matter was not going to float at home. So I didn't even bring it up with my parents. So I kept to myself. My senior year, they graduated. Here we go. I'm back to life again. So now at this point, mind you, I have not identified as anything. I'm still just a joyful kid playing sports, right? So to my second year into college, I did identify as a lesbian. I had, it was coming. I could start to feel it. I knew it, it felt different for me than what was expected of me. And the summer between my sophomore and junior year in college, my mother came to me and wanted to know. And when I didn't respond in one way or the other, she's accused me of being gay and asked me to be celibate, not march in parades, not be public, hide myself. And I couldn't do that. So I was told to leave the home. So for 3 years, I didn't go back home. And I reconciled with that. That, in some part, was a big growth for me because I realized that I had to be strong on my own. That what everyone else had to say, I'm God's child. I don't get it. I don't know why people are behaving this way because we're all God's children. Always had a strong spiritual relationship. And so I took that strength from that relationship and set upon myself. So after 3 years, I came home, finished school for a year, because, you get sent off to school in the middle of college. That's your last semester. That's how that goes. And so I was able to come home, and I did reconcile with my mom. I was back at the house for about 10 months, and then I moved into an apartment, and my mother soon passed after that. But I felt in my heart I had somewhat reconciled with what had gone on. She was influenced by the church. She thought I was going to hell in a handbasket, all the pieces, right? Moving along, we have our son, Jace. And from the moment that we had our son, Jace, I could not conceive how my mother let me go like that. Even with the reconciliation. I couldn't conceive of it. And I'm still confused to this day about it, right? But on the other end, the communities in which the women that I participated with. We had a strong community on Long Island of women that supported each other through the sports teams, through the bookstores. We used to have these Friday night game nights at different people's houses, and you brought additional friends so people got to meet each other. So we had a really strong community, and we were lucky because I've talked to women that had no community whatsoever. So that was a blessing, right? All those pieces have been blessings, right? I am stronger for it. I think it made me a more independent person, and I don't take bull from anybody, as you all know, right? And part of that was part of that development, right? And so along the way, I was in and out of spiritual connection. As far as organized religion, I feel like I've always had a spiritual connection in my heart. Yeah. But after about 15 years of not going to a church, I was working on something in therapy, and my therapist recommended a Lutheran church. Not because of the Lutherans, but because of the minister that was at this Lutheran church. But I found that depending on what part of the Lutheran church you go to, there's a lot of support for the gay community. And so we have always, so I started going back to organized religion. I like being with like-minded people. I like being with you guys. I like chatting with you guys, right? It helps support my soul, helps to feed me. So even though there were periods in life where I wasn't with organized religion, I feel like my spiritual basis was always there. I've always felt like a child of God, and I've always not understood what the problem was, that we're all just God's children. Thank you.